47 Weeks, Life and Learnings of a Dietetic Intern. Hey guys, welcome back to 47 Weeks. It's week 35 and I'm 80% done the internship. We had two public health nutritionists come talk to us and tell us about what they do and how they do it, and they got us to play this food insecurity game. You had to try to balance a budget when you had a certain income and certain expenses, and there was a certain family that each group of people had, and then they had to try to have the family eat and balanced diet, and sometimes it was impossible with the cards that life threw at you. We also tried taking our group class picture, so I made sure to wear a nice dress, wear a blazer, and do my makeup, and then it was really rainy for the half an hour that we had set to take the photo, and then it was sunny the rest of the day. So we're just gonna do it when it's sunnier, maybe in June or July. Deb came to talk to us about job hunting, resumes, and interviews. We learned about the Dietetic Association licensing and temp licensing process before you write your CDRE. Learned about nutrition and organ transplantation, had a session to refresh our TPN skills. And then Tuesday, we spent the morning at Sobeys learning about what Sobeys or retail dietitian would do and just some of the cool things that they offer. And we sampled some different forms of probiotics, kombucha, and this BioK probiotic drinks, and kefir. So that was really fun. Another dietitian talked to us about GI nutrition, so dealing with IBS, Crohn's, and ulcerative colitis. So it actually worked out well that we tried those probiotics right before. And then Tuesday afternoon, some of the interns presented their quality improvement projects. Some of the things they found was that the hospital doesn't make it easy to get enough protein at breakfast. So we really need to do something about that, because not giving patients enough is just gonna mean worse outcomes and longer length of stay and bigger costs. Plus, we need to practice what we preach. When we tell these people they need more protein, we need to make it readily available for breakfast. Also learned that we don't do enough when it comes to nutrition screening for individuals that are getting a kidney transplant, when a lot of them might not be eating well. Then Wednesday morning we went to Shanix and we heard 3 speakers there. The food supervisor there showed us around and gave us a tour, and I can't believe that they make all the meals and then ship out 1,400 meals a day to 13 different Shanixes across the Maritimes. That's even more than the hospital. That's crazy. Then we had a food inspector come to talk to us, and then a private practice dietitian. When I was making the cards to give to the guest speakers, I actually went a little crazy when writing their names on the envelopes, and I made them all kind of nice and decorated. And I was worried that people wouldn't notice, because you tend to just open the envelope and read the card, but most of the dietitians commented on how pretty or nice they looked, which made me feel good, because I haven't been that creative with, school and internship, just because there's so much academic research things to do. So it feels nice to be artistic once in a while. But when your sister is the world's most famous doll maker, the bar is set really high, so. Then we went to the IWK and had a tour of their kitchen, and we learned about how they work, and they do dial for dining, so they deliver patients the food whenever they want it, and they're open 24 hours. So they're not getting, 3 meals a day at this time, whether they want to eat it or not. And there's less than 4% food waste. Thursday, we actually got a full day at the IWK, and I learned more about pediatrics and nutrition than I think I've ever learned, because it was never even covered in university, because you never had time to cover the pediatric topic, because then it was exam time. We had someone talk to us about cystic fibrosis, the ketogenic diet, neonatal nutrition, infant formulas, and mealtime behavior, which I thought was particularly cool. Friday, there was actually a couple speakers that canceled, but the good news is that we didn't have to go in until 10:15. A dietitian from Dietitians of Canada come talk to us about public relations and the media. And we had an interns meeting, at the end of which we had another one of those pop quizzes just like the one that made me panic after my first clinical, but it was much easier this time. Then we had my preceptor from Hearts in Motion come and talk to the interns about what they do, and then I presented my quality improvement project. Then my preceptor came and told the other interns about the Hearts in Motion program and how it works. And lastly, I presented my quality improvement project that I did for Hearts in Motion. So, I was making a presentation and practicing all week, so it felt so good to have that over with. And I'm done all the presentations for internship. First big learning this week doesn't have to do with nutrition, it has to do with Halifax and the ignorance towards bikers. I take my bike and there aren't many places that have a bike path. And even so, I know people that have died in bike paths in Vancouver. So I'm terrified to sometimes bike on the road. So I bike on the sidewalk if I don't feel safe. There's really no winning. If you're biking on the sidewalk, you're gonna make the people angry. If you're biking on the road, you're gonna make the drivers angry, because the individuals that haven't tried biking around in Halifax have no clue how frustrating and scary it is. I was hit by a car this week because the driver wasn't looking right when she was turning right. And I had another driver not let me cross with my bike and just stopped and was honking and tried to roll down their windows to yell at me, and I had to yell at them back and tell them, I'm a pedestrian! Like, I have the right of way. But it's just, I can't believe it's that hard to just be physically active and ride your bike around the city. I think everybody should try it, and then they will understand. My boyfriend hasn't been having a really good week. First, he was told by a rude surgeon that he's gonna end up with a big scar on his back to remove a lump. He didn't get a job that he really wanted and interviewed well for, just the other person had more experience, like they always do. And on top of that, he had his identity stolen. What the hell is going on? And not a lucky week. I said I was hit by a car, but I was okay. It happened kind of slowly, and my bike just kind of got stuck in the car, and I was just mad. I learned that the internship program in Halifax has been running since 1926, so that's gonna be 90 years this year. Also learned that there's a difference between a public health dietitian and a public health nutritionist. But most of the time, a public health dietitian is somebody that works more in the public health admin type of stuff, and the public health nutritionist would work more with the community. But they are interchangeable for some companies, so make sure to read the job description. 1 in 7 households in Nova Scotia are food insecure, and that it actually costs taxpayers 76% more money to support that family if they are severely food insecure. So that's not good. Learn the difference between a competency exam and a knowledge exam. Competencies, that test is just pass or fail, and the CDRE has an 85% pass rate. Versus, watching Skylar struggle to pass his theory exercise physiology exam, which has a 40% pass rate, which is more of a knowledge-based exam on tiny little facts and points and that you don't really need to remember. It's kind of silly. The process of getting a temporary license before I write my CDRE, so that's good to know. You just submit your forms, and then on the day that you graduate, the coordinator is going to send a form, and that's going to complete your package, and you're good to go. I learned that it takes about 3 hours a day to cook and clean up after all meals. So imagine somebody that's not healthy and they're sick and they have to try to eat healthy and spend 3 hours a day doing all of this. It can be really challenging for somebody to eat enough in chronic illness. I learned that TPN is not actually total parenteral nutrition because there's no iron added, so it's not really total. I learned that the villi atrophy in about a week, which means it's really important to at least do trickle feeding if the patient can't really tolerate adequate nutrition through the gut. And if they can't eat orally, obviously. The food inspector told us that all you need is a hole the size of a dime in order to get a mouse infestation. That's all it takes. I learned that if you're gonna practice in a private practice, you should expect that maybe 95% of your clients are gonna come to you for weight loss and management. And I learned that there are two kinds of cystic fibrosis. One with pancreatic insufficiency, which 90% of individuals have, and then pancreatically sufficient, which is just 10% of those with CF. I learned that following the ketogenic diet is really, really hard. Like when you're doing it for a medical reason to stop having 20 seizures a day, these parents have to feed their kids diets that are 90% fat and less than 10% protein and carbohydrate combined. Mostly just protein, though. Really limiting carbohydrates. Even eating one goldfish cracker off the floor is enough to offset what you've been doing to reduce the number of seizures you have a day. And these parents are buying professional scientific scales and measuring out every little bit of food. And these kids are eating whipped cream at every meal, butter, canola oil, a tablespoon of applesauce for their carbohydrate maybe, and a little piece of protein. And you know, everything, all the carbohydrates in their multivitamins, they can't have any. In their toothpaste, sunscreen, lotion, medications, down to the 0.1 grams of carbohydrates you have to calculate. And fortunately, the diet for a third of the population will reduce seizures by 90%, and for another third, it could reduce it by 50%. And the other third, it won't really be that effective. But that's pretty good. No one really knows exactly how it works. And if you buy your own zinc oxide and coconut oil, you can make your own carbohydrate-free sunscreen. I learned that 11 to 20 pound weight gain is what's normal for a pregnant individual that is of healthy weight. And vitamin B6 could help with nausea. From my neonatal nutrition class, I learned that premature babies can survive as young as, under 23 weeks of age. That's fascinating. But they're gonna need around 4 grams of protein per kilogram body weight as opposed to, 1 for a regular adult. And I learned a lot about infant formula and just general, guidelines for when to start your baby at solids, 6 months, and the amount of formula you would need and so on. Babies or children might need to be exposed to a food 10 times or more before they actually eat it. So, if a parent gives a kid carrots one time and they refuse to eat them, that doesn't mean that you shouldn't keep trying. And if you want to try to get your kid to eat a certain food, first you want to start by trying to change the shape, then the color, then the taste, then the texture of it. And that is just some of what I learned. This video would be way too long if I actually told you everything. It's funny. There was only just a couple interns that started the internship and they had jobs, and now almost all of them have a part-time job because we've all run out of money. Saturday, we went on a double date at Duncan's Cove. We had a picnic, and then we went and we got ice cream at Cow's. So it was a really nice way to seize the warmest weather of the year so far. And Sunday night, tonight, the interns are going to the lower deck on the patio and drink some beer. Next week, I start my restaurant services rotation. Some of the other things I have to have to still write up my taste panel report, buy some new work pants because mine are starting to fall apart. And maybe next weekend we can go to the escape room with the other interns. Gotta start hanging out more and catch up for all the missed time. The internship is almost over. As always, thanks for watching. And remember, sustain your body, sustain your life.